All right, let's talk about it. Procrastination, that invisible wall that just seems to pop up between you and whatever you need to get done. It's got to be one of the most frustrating things we all deal with, right? Well, today we're going to do more than just complain about it. We're going to really dig in, understand what's actually happening in our brains, and figure out how to finally break through.
I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You sit down, you're all set to be productive, you open your laptop, and then boom, suddenly it's 2 hours later and you've gone down a rabbit hole of cat videos or something. You're doing anything except the one thing you're supposed to be doing. And it feels awful, kind of like a personal failure. But here's the thing. What if it's got nothing to do with you being lazy? So this is the big idea that changes everything. Seriously, we're always told that procrastinating is just a lack of willpower, that we need more discipline. But the science, it tells a totally different story. It's not a discipline problem. It's an emotional problem. It's not about being lazy. It's about our brains trying to avoid uncomfortable feelings. And once you get that, the whole game changes. Okay, so if it's all about emotions, what's the emotion we're trying to dodge? Well, it really just boils down to one simple word: discomfort. Yeah, that's it. Our brains are basically hardwired to run away from anything that feels bad.
Here's a way to picture it. Your brain looks at that big, tough task on your to-do list and sees it as, like, a threat. And instead of facing it head-on, it pulls a fast one. It hijacks your focus and shoves something easy and fun in front of you. You know, like that quick video. You get that little hit of relief, that instant gratification. But it's a trap, because it costs you your long-term goals and just leaves you feeling kind of crummy later.
So what is this discomfort we're talking about? Well, it can be a lot of different things. For you, it might be that nagging fear of failure. What if I'm not good enough? Or maybe you just look at the project and feel totally overwhelmed. Or hey, maybe the task is just super boring. Figuring out which one it is for you, that's the first huge step to getting past it. And this is where we get stuck in that awful, vicious cycle, right? First, we put something off. Then we feel guilty about it. And that guilt, that's just another bad feeling our brain wants to avoid, which, you guessed it, makes us want to procrastinate even more. The only way out of this spiral is to stop beating yourself up. Seriously. It's about switching from self-criticism to a little bit of self-compassion. Okay, enough theory. Let's get into some practical tools you can use like today. And the first one is my absolute favorite, the 5-minute rule. It sounds almost too simple, but trust me, it's so powerful because it doesn't fight against your brain's resistance. It kind of outsmarts it. All you have to do is commit to 5 minutes. That's it, just 5. You're not telling yourself, I have to finish this entire monster of a project. No, you're just saying, I'm going to work on this for 5 minutes. It's so small, so non-threatening that your brain's alarm system, the part that screams, danger, this is hard, it doesn't even notice. It just lets you sneak by. So why does this little trick work so well? It's all about the psychology. Getting started is always the hardest part, right? Well, the 5-minute rule makes that first step tiny. It lowers the barrier to entry so much. And once you're actually doing it, something incredible happens. Momentum takes over. And that task that looked like a giant mountain just a few minutes ago, suddenly it feels, well, climbable. All right, tool number 2. This one moves our focus from what's going on inside our heads to what's happening in the world around us. Because here's a little secret most people don't realize. Your environment has a way bigger say in what you do than your motivation ever will. So think about it for a second. When you sit down to do some work, how easy is it to actually start? I'm talking about all those little roadblocks, what we can call friction. You know, a messy desk, your phone buzzing on the corner, that one file you can never seem to find. Every single one of those things is like an open door for your brain to say, hey, let's go do something else. So the whole goal here is super simple. You want to make doing the right thing the easiest thing to do. Just look at the difference here. On one side, in the before state, distraction is just easy. It's the default setting. But on the after side, focus becomes the path of least resistance. And let me tell you, putting your phone in a whole other room, that's a total game changer. You're not fighting temptation anymore. You've just eliminated it. Okay, so we've got 2 great tools, starting small and fixing your environment. But what's the big idea that makes them work? This brings us to a huge mindset shift, and it's all about how action actually creates motivation. This is so important because it flips the script on how most of us think we're supposed to get things done.
See, most of us have it completely backwards. We sit around and wait for motivation to strike us like lightning before we'll even think about starting. But that's not how it works. Motivation isn't some magical thing that just appears. It's more like a fire that you have to build. That 5-minute rule, that's a spark. Tidying up your desk, that's another spark. All these little actions, they're the kindling that creates the very feeling of motivation we thought we needed in the first place. All right, let's pull all of this together into a simple action plan. And I mean simple. This is not about some crazy massive life overhaul. No, this is about a couple of small, smart changes you can literally start making the second this is over. So here's what you're going to do today. First, I want you to pick just one thing you've been putting off and just use the 5-minute rule. Just start it. That's it. Second, make one tiny change to your environment. Just one thing to cut down on distractions. And third, and listen, this is honestly the most important part. If you slip up, you forgive yourself immediately. No drama, no beating yourself up. You just restart. Because you know what? Consistency is so much more powerful than perfection. And really, that's what this is all about. Progress isn't about some impossible standard of perfection. It's just about being willing to start. And when you stumble, being willing to start again. The person who actually accomplishes all those big goals, they're not some superhero with perfect, unbreakable discipline. Nope. It's just the version of you who decided to begin. So, the only question now is, what are you going to begin today?